Yeah, you have an emergency. You have an emergency. You have applied for your ID card, barrister. 3 years, the ID card is not available.
I want to show you that majority of Cameroonians have their cards already. It's a minority that doesn't have.
Okay.
And the minority is complaining. Yes, it's true. It's normal. They have to complain. But we know where the problem is. You see, I believe in looking for solutions and thinking about and talk about problems.
Okay.
We have a right to petition what is going on to the director of the delegate of national security. How many people have thought of that? Is it because we come on TV to complain about it, which is okay? We have to spare those guys who are working for us to know that they are supposed to do their job. That is the role of the population. You see, if the population is inert and they don't question, they don't try to seek for their rights, and decide that the status quo should remain like that, give me the 1,000 francs, they find it comfortable. Will it not just stay like that? I remember when this issue of elections started, there was this apathy. People were not interested in getting electoral cards. But at a certain point in time, it became like a rush, as if somebody has spread something in the air that everybody's going to get a card. And at that time, when that rush starts, it's difficult for production to follow suit. So it causes an imbalance. And when that imbalance has been caused, it's going to continue for some time. Whether you like it or not, it's going to be like that. Let's try to look at the general picture of these issues. It is uncomfortable. But what do we do? Should we sit like that and continue? It's high time. We have trade unions. We have workers' representatives. We have brokers. We have business organizations. We have those type of groupings in Cameroon. Why can't they help us, help the population to complain to where it matters? Because I don't believe that the powers that be have a deaf ear when it comes to issues that have to do with the population. They are very sensitive. But it has to come through the right channel. When things don't come to the right channel, they think everything is okay. We have a big organization like Shikam. When they cough, the government shakes. Why can't they use as an issue to push the government to change things? Why? We have a lot of people travel every day. They need passports, they need ID cards, they need those things. Why can't they use the force in them to do that rather than sitting and complaining and biting their fingers? No, we have to look at, you see, those things happen, it happens. But don't forget that at the other end, where you are, is a Cameroonian. You can be complaining, but the man you think is causing your complaint to is a Cameroonian, like you. So you have to tell him that what you're doing is not correct. We have to start doing those things, to me. And by sitting quiet, to me, makes it continue. So at the end of the day, it is high time we spur ourselves up to cause people to do the right thing. Those who do their jobs, do the right job. When I complain about we Cameroonians are those who like to blame others, we talk about corruption, embezzlement, and all those things. I always ask them, I will know one of your brothers or sister who was in the system, whose salary is less than 300,000, but is building mansions, and you're looking at it every day. And at times, someone you go down and supervise the building, and when he makes parties, you come and eat, and nobody questions them. Hey, that's what we're supposed to do to make them change. You ask your brother, my brother, I know your salary. This thing you're building is coming from where? How many people have that courage to ask their own brothers? Not going very far, your own brother. And by so doing, you're going to moralize them. That, hey, I should be careful what I'm doing. But just, I say, we Cameroonians, we have what we have a society that we merit. Because we see it, we allow impunity to install itself, nobody complains, and we criticize, and that is it. I'm sure after talking like this, all of us will not talk again. Nobody will go anywhere to talk about the same eagles we are even raising here. But anyway, this is Cameroon. We believe that, I'm an optimist, and I believe that we can change it, we can make it look better for you and me.
Okay. Yes, ID card issues. He's raising a point. Honorable Cabral Libi says that, okay, we should stage a demonstration against a NEO for lights to be made available to Cameroonians. And nobody's talking about the need for a collective action for Cameroonians to receive their ID cards.
I said something, yes, sometime. Barrister Barrister says he does not want to look at problems. He always likes proposing solutions. One of the solutions is a collective right. You know what it has cost Cameroonians coming out. You know what happened in 2008. You know what just happened with MRC in 2018. Even if you are three of you, just gather somewhere, you go. And he knows how brutal his system is when it comes to demanding civic rights. People have done that several times, and now you hear people saying that it is Cameroon is a country for all, but everybody for himself. So we are feeding and dying alone. And so those who even pick the phones and write those messages, if you even call the person now to come and stand here, and then you point him camera, he will never come. You know what it is. So those are some of the things. The system has created fear in the mind of Cameroonians to an extent that people can talk in hiding. They will prefer that you put them in you create a shadow, then they talk behind. But if you bring them before, nobody. People will die of hunger. They will not complain that they are hungry, but they will be talking to you behind. It is like that, it's not going. We are here talking of the high cost of living. Barrister is aware how prices have changed. I mean, a common Cameroonian malaise. That red oil moved from 700 to 1,300 a liter. It has not caused any havoc. In no nation will you witness this. No nation where things are done rightly, citizens die alone. We have seen what just happened in France. I mean, proposal to amend retirement is not yet even coming into as a law. Just proposals. The whole country is rambling that we increase retirement age. In Cameroon, we are not thinking of going on retirement. We are preparing to die in office. So you can imagine the philosophy where people feel like those who are there will continue being there, because those who don't have the opportunity will never come there. And so those who don't have the opportunity, they are instead afraid of their life and the intimidation. How do we stand to act of ID card? A civic responsibility is that of governance, which we are saying, but what is happening? What has happened where this person established his ID card at which commissariat, at which police station, and what happened to it? We don't even need to think of D1000 extending. Since they are all members of the same cult, they agree that there's a need for extension. And they have extended some people to over 1 year already. Somebody is 12 months, no ID card. The last time he went there, they put a stamp until the whole ID card had been stamped. So now they have to look for an extra paper to write on it again, then stamp and click on it. In which republic? We're talking of an ID card. Where was this ID card established? The government is aware. It is not even for Cameroonians to come out, because we know how brutal we are. You risk your life. But let's say it is a governmental responsibility. Official document which citizens have paid for. They have a right to it. It is their paper. We don't need individuals to clamor again. Even the electricity problem we are talking. Somewhere we talk of Sonatra, we talk of EDC. These are state agencies that are made to say that Cameroonians have lied. After privatization, the government still maintains the ultimate power of regulating. And he has the ultimate power to even sanction the same company. We need to see that. Not when it doesn't fit my proposal, then we can sanction. Because we have seen companies to ask to leave. You saw what happened with the situation at Ambe. When it is not on our side, we send the company away. And they will bring in another company just the next day. What is happening? That ID cards cannot be provided and the individuals responsible are not chased out of office. It is a civic responsibility. You are called to serve. When you are in a position, barrister too need to know, like we have said here several times, one of the bedrock of corruption in Cameroon is that salaries levels cannot equate the living standard of civil servants. We should be very honest with that. 300,000 francs, barrister Achu cannot live that even for a week. He is aware. And so we should know very strongly. Yes, I am saying that if you are not, then you should try to feel the pains of those people there. So it has made them that somewhere that his government should fix salary levels. Yes, you are.
I'm not Prime Minister, please.
Barrister, you are a member of the ruling party. We call it the ruling party. You are part of that party. I said, but the government is the government you people made up. That is your government. You cannot refuse that here. That the Prime Minister is not your good friend. You cannot refuse that.
Not yours too.
No, that's what I'm just saying. So you should not be denying that. So that's what I'm saying. It is our government, but then we should be honest to tell the truth. That if you pay a civil servant 300 100,000 francs now in Douala, having an apartment alone that is comfortable to a family man, you will not spend less than 100K.
It's a choice.
Yeah,
Nobody forces you to civil service.
No, we accept. Can it be free? Can it be vacant?
No.
Everybody too cannot be in the private sector.
Well, once you choose, you bear the responsibilities.
Barrister, we are telling you that whether you are in the public service or in the private sector, the government has the ultimate hand. It's just like the other time you talk about the situation of private teachers in private schools, and how the treatment goes. It still come back to the government. And sometimes we even propose that if you cannot run a school and go with the rules of the government, you are bound to close the school. If you cannot meet the standard, that's what others have done. And so if you cannot open the school, obviously the children will go to the school that is capable of respecting standard set by the government. And government must see it. It's just like we talked today of 41,000 francs. If the government we have is a government, it should equally have instrument of regulation and making sure that that is implemented. So everybody cannot work in the private sector. Likewise, everybody cannot work with the public sector.
It's a choice.
Yes. We have made a choice.
I want us to talk about ID cards.
No, that's what I'm saying here. I'm saying I was coming to it.
Yes, but it's been prolonged.
No, it is not prolonged. We are saying.
Let me tell you some of the problems.
Okay.
You know, I don't like to talk about problems. It was noticed that so many Cameroonians have a problem with their birth certificates. We are born in Douala, we are married in Yokatuma. That's an illegal piece of paper. You are born in Bamenda, but it's a magistrate court decision that ordered that your birth certificate should be made. That is wrong. It's supposed to go to the High Court. Well, you see, those things are there, so many, in such a way that if you don't go and find out why your own national identity card has a problem, you will stay there and always be complaining. I'm sure there's even a website and a number to call to check. I don't know how many people have tried to do that, because when I noticed it, I realized, because I've been private to the fact that people have birth certificates, they don't even know that they've been living with it for 30 years, which is null and void. You cannot be born in Limbe, but your birth certificate is made in Kumba, and vice versa, and things like that. So that's the little problems that I saw in that the people with ID card are having, because once it goes there, and those things are null and void, the machine cannot produce an ID card. You have to come back and start all over.
Yeah, what we are saying that it still come back.
And some people have done ID cards twice, thrice.
It's not
so when it gets to the machine, it gets stuck. And you want to blame the rest. But anyway,
because the option now, when you get to the police station, they will tell you for how long. It is 1 year now, 1 year, 6 months. At times, there are even the people advising you that you should better go in for a new ID, because they cannot extend it again. That the extension is too much. Now, what we are just saying, I'm equally trying to see with a lot of the uniform people that the salary treatment of civil servants generally, when labor is well paid, the performance is high. Barrister, you are aware. When you have a file that is reasonable, some files can wait. And this is what we are saying. So if civil servants, if the 1,000 you are seeing, at time may mean nothing. At the virtue of a civil servant that knows that it's highly liquid. And documents will get to Yaoundé. The problem is not at the level of birth certificates. A lot of worries which others have presented is that when ID cards are presented, like that guy wrote there, I believe he's talking from that perspective. ID cards which have been produced, the carton, by evening money which is supposed to be channeled, because anytime you make a deposit of the number of ID card, you make a deposit with the documents issued for that day. That some people willingly keep away some documents and forward what they have in their hand. You know, when you're an accountant, you always feel like your month can end even on the 20th, because you know that you're closer to the account. You pay everybody at end, but you have been paid already. This is what some people do. And we are thinking that the Delegate General of National Security, the President in charge of National Security, he has the knife and the arm. And what we mean, the force of the law. The force of the law should not only be known on citizens when they say they are disturbing. The force of the law too should come when we control
rights to him. Now I'm saying,
yeah, but
rights to him.
They have done that. Newspapers
are we not also here because we talked about the fact that Eneo is owned by foreigners, the private sector. Are we not also in this situation because we are not producing our ID cards? And why not also work, because we are stuck in this situation for so long, why not decentralize it? Is it also an issue of security that we are afraid that if we decentralize it to the regions, it may expose some sensitive information about Cameroon, our demography?
Mr. Leo, it is really a cause for concern. Why? Because when you give a foreign body data of your people, they use it for different reasons, different purposes.
They may.
Yes.
They may use it, yeah.
So it is very dangerous in the first place. I think that the Cameroon government has the capacity to produce ID cards for Cameroonians by ourselves. Apart from that, we have companies which we can also employ, which are Cameroon based, which are not foreign based. For example, at the moment, ID cards are not made by any Cameroon company, but by British and German company. And so those are limiting factors. But if we have to come back, I want to say something before I want to respond to something that Dr. Ako said. When it comes to the idea of double identity is not the fact that you made an identity now and then you went the next month and made another one. That's not what makes double identity. Double identity comes from your birth certificate. You made a birth certificate, maybe you went and made an ID card with it, then later on you went, made another birth certificate, changed the position of your name or whatsoever, made another ID card. At that moment you have double ID in the machine, and so with that double ID, your ID card will never come out. It will never come out.
Yeah, so within it, not just cutting you.
Can I just land
yes,
first?
I know.
My
I
ideas,
said with what you have just said, because
so
I may get off.
Yes, just write it down. So in relation to that, with that particular aspect, it becomes difficult. Another aspect is the idea of you go make a birth certificate, might be like the barrister mentioned. You went, there was a time in my village where the fund just comes, he collect names and whatsoever he says, then you later on comes and give you birth certificate. You don't know how he made the birth certificate. There was no judgment that came from the court. He just made birth certificate and handed over to people. Today they are suffering because of that. There are a lot of persons who are suffering because of that. They went, I have a young brother who actually wanted to travel. He had used that before, traveled out. Then when this new system came, for his passport to come out was difficult. It could not come out because they said the information on your birth certificate is wrong. So they had to come back, create a new, they told him to go back to Tuba, where he made, it was supposed that he made the birth certificate. When he went there, they told him that they have never seen, there's never anything there like, the switch, as they call it, yeah, it was not there, which means it was just created in the air. And so he had to make a new birth certificate. But making this new birth certificate already creates another problem. You are having a problem of double identity. But that can also be handled. But before you handle this one, you need to write directly to the delegate general. When you write to him, he is the one that can cancel it. And that is what Cameroonians need to know. When your ID card is not coming out, find out. I am fortunate to have an individual whom I received numbers, and in fact those receipts I sent to him at the national delegation. He goes through them, he checks in the machine and informs me if they are there or not. And so that has been one of the ways I've been assisting to make sure that that particular problem is solved. And so when he goes through, he tells me this particular one is not, this one is double ID, this one he needs to come back and make a new ID card. So those issues help. We need to, look for a solution.
The issue is, instead of just keeping people waiting, if the system was decentralized, why not inform, communicate? Because
that's
you
very
keep
important.
somebody waiting for 3 years. 3 years.
I have somebody who has been for 3 years without an ID card.
This was good evening, Mr. Leo and the panelists. This issue of ID card in Cameroon is a call for concern. Since I made my ID card, it's 2 years now, but the original is not yet out. What is really the problem? Greetings to all the one run in Yaoundé. From Mr. Wilbur Godwin. Okay, good evening. My wife established her ID card in 2018 and was only printed 3 years after, and I had to pay 1,000 francs before I was given. Okay, good evening, Mr. Liu and crew. Today's topic can solve 60% of our problems if looked into. But Mr. Achu regrets same as though as others, but the bitter truth is that you can't undress your own wife in public. Thanks, Paul is writing from Dubs. Good evening, Mr. Leo. Why should I go through the same process I went through in making an ID card when renewing the same ID card upon expiration? Tiku Felix is writing from Boya. The receipts the government gives to all police stations in this country is a very big problem because they feel your information and the commissioner signs, and when the ID doesn't come, they advise you to come for another. The police are using those receipts to make money privately. The government should create a national identification department. Yes,
I never wanted, yes. One person, one of the, how can I say?
The viewers.
The viewers have just made it known. It is even disturbing that one citizen should be having 2 different identification numbers. That you have an ID card, it got expired, you went for renewal, and you are given a different number. Is it not but normal that if you have an ID card already, a photocopy and the original, because you should not still have access to the old one, is that you simply deposit the old identity card and the other one is recorded and printed with the same data. When you move out of here, in Europe or the United States, a security number is like identity card number, and it does not change except you are dead. At any time you have the same security card number. So why is it that in Cameroon is that every time you make a new ID card, information must change when that person's data is known? It's like somebody crying out fouls this morning. Yeah, I'm talking of Cyril Bojiko.
Okay.
That
Yes,
it
yes.
becomes so worrying that an ID card that has been made, birth certificate was given, and at the second time you are renewing, they need birth certificate again, not even the ID card. And then again you start complaining, the same complaint that barrister is giving, that the information on the birth certificate is no longer the same, owing to the fact that that person has been recorded already at the National Identification Center. Should he still provide a birth certificate? If they need the authentication, like in Rwanda today, where the economy has gone smart, you simply pay the money for legalization of those documents. And your documents, since they are already on the system, they come out already authentified. So one of the things I'm thinking is that the government need to look at this. Renewal does not mean issuance of a new ID card, because we are already used to our number. But when you are given or delivered a new ID card, and every document again you need to look at a new ID card number, then it is no longer an identification document. An identification document that changes at every 10 years. You are meaning that the citizen has changed equally, and a lot of data problems are there. So renewal simply means, like it happens in many, when we lost our certificate, you go to school, at times just a photocopy of the old certificate, they bring back your certificate with all your information. Why is it not the case with the national identity card or the passport that you still need to go through?
Okay.
No, it's not that easy. Cameroon is one of the few countries that have national identity card. Do you know that? Nigeria doesn't have. Central African Republic still doesn't have. No, so it is that to do it in such a way that is national, you need first of all what we call transfer of technology. And you know what it means? How they torture Africans just to succeed in transfer of technology. Why would you have to send the other guy, the first French company that was doing this thing? Because they were torturing Cameroonians very badly. And they had to tell them, please stop and go. Because don't miss what we are suffering when it comes to this technology issue is the transfer of technology. Those guys that have the technology don't want us to have it. In the US, we have fingerprints, you can be identified. Why can't they give us that technology? Why
No,
don't
it is there.
in Cameroon?
But it's there.
I spoke.
You put your ID card, Tom. It brings the information.
That's why I say in private companies you have it now.
No. In America, I'm talking America, it's a government issue. They go for elections with the machines that they have. Results come out the same day. Why can't they not give us those same machines? But you see, we don't
disturb you.
We are not here understanding. No.
I know it's possible.
No, come on.
We are the one taking half technology.
I'm telling you what I think.
Okay.
The problem we have is the issue of transfer of technology. Until the day we Africans sit down and build a technology which is good for us, which is meant for us, we still depend on those guys who always have these irregularities. I will always be complaining. That's why I say I don't like problems,
Then we
but I
should
like
go back to
solutions.
the old system where
Yeah, but Barrister, I spoke.
It was manual.
No, so when
I thought it was manual, but with the population now,
I spoke with a Cameroonian who lives in Germany. I don't know whether I still have his number. Who took me through his structure in Germany, and he say he does these things for other countries, and really I've loved to come here, but that it is difficult. That is, he can't do the, he can produce stuff. He even does passports for other nations. But
no, we are not forgetting about passport. I have been to Total Operenco, just at the gate. The direction you are going, the manager still knows the person coming towards him. I mean, just at the entrance at the gate. As you enter, you drop your ID card. He knows you were coming with everything, your data. And how can such
ID card?
That is what I'm saying.
ID card, no, it's possible because you have it. But I talk about where you have your thumbprints. They identify your thumbprints. We don't have that. We need to have that transfer of technology first.
Yeah, but
no, there are people.
Barrister, please, Barrister, the issue now is that we have issues of ID cards. Difficult to satisfy the demand, ever increasing demand, because almost every year something must expire.
Thousands.
Yes, they are expiring, and then they are making new requests. What is the logic? Please, what is the logic behind it? Because it is for identification. My name, my this. Is it the fact that maybe I might have grown taller or changed professions that actually warrants that there is a renewal? We go through the same process all over to still identify the same person.
The problem is technology. I will tell you again, it's technology. We don't have it.
Yeah, but
what we have is what we call appropriate, something that resembles what it's supposed to be.
But are we the ones producing? The technology is coming from there.
So to cause a transfer of technology is a whole ball game. If you don't know that, it is a whole ball game that has to do with politics, that has to do with finances, that will do all. Right now we are crying about money. For example, there are lots of alternative sources of making money to come in the country to finance the economy. But as of now, the system we have does not permit it. It does not permit it. If I tell you, there are so many, if you tell them, the banking softwares, for example, that makes money move without you going anywhere, we still don't have it because those that have those banking softwares will never give it to us. Or by the time they give it to us, we'll have bled all the blood off from our bodies. And that's the secret. Or we start thinking of building our own technologies to suit our needs. And if we still have to depend on them, we will still face the same problems because they never give us what is regular. Go abroad to go and buy a machine. They will prefer to sell you an obsolete old machine than to sell you a new one. Or if they want to sell you a new one, they will say go to the Exim Bank of that country. That will make the price 100 times more. So you're buying a machine that you come here and you don't care when you do any business, because if you buy that machine to come and produce here, you will not produce, they will no longer sell from the country. So you should understand that. If you don't understand that is a macro economy of the world now. That what's happening that we are facing. That Africa is bleeding because of that. If you don't understand that, you always blame the government that is governance issue, is this or that. There was a time they were supposed to computerize the system in Cameroon. Cameroon government was very ready. UNDP, I think it's United Nations something.
Development program.
They brought a program that was just halfway, and the party started it and stopped. Who can continue? Nobody. Even the government can't. The government got stalled and it got blocked. There was this issue of even cameras in the cities. Why can't we do it all over? It's difficult until a Cameroonian got the technology and is helping the government how to do it. You'll be surprised that the Cameroonians have now is a Cameroonian that set it up for Cameroon. Until we start thinking that way, having that mindset.
But are you saying that we lack Cameroonians with this technology?
The diaspora is there, only say everything is bad. They cannot come here with those things to show us. That's what I'm saying. The diaspora, that we have lots of intelligence out of this country that the government even sponsored to go abroad to learn. We know that we're very sharp, one of the best amongst us. But why are they not coming back? Who do you think will bring that technology to here, to Cameroon? They don't come. They don't want to bring it because to them everything here is bad. Everything we should be burnt off, as you said. We will burn off for them before they come and see what would make things look good. And that's the problem. That's the issue. Transfer of technology, that is the key.
Okay, transfer of technology, that is key.
Yes.
But how do we get ourselves out of this situation? Shouldn't we look for a way for this thing to be a Cameroonian affair? Look, we're way different from what is happening today, because from your explanation, it means that we are trapped.
We are not trapped.
Okay.
We are not trapped. What you know,
Yeah,
I
we're not
said
trapped.
somebody
We are
just
not
said
trapped.
here that you cannot sell your own wife in public. That's what Barrister is doing. I'm in a school with maybe
We are not trapped.
I said, that's why I said we are not trapped, and that the diaspora is ready to assist, and they are assisting in other domains that you know very well. So this one, if there is a will, when the government called computerization of the voters register, it took us nowhere, because government determined and set a standard to the level of digitalization they wanted, that biometric system for election should end with a card.
Come on.
And the card, please, Barrister.
You know, if France
I
wants
said-
to install that same system they have in their country, it will not install it. What are we talking about?
No, but that is what I'm telling you, that we,
it is not we.
the government,
It's much
what the
more than
government
that.
has ordained,
It's much more than that.
Barrister, you will not accept with me. I said I'm in a school where we have 4 different campuses, 3 different campuses, and all the teachers have been identified by a finger. And that technology, every police post, those who are controlling, can digitalize the finger of every Cameroonian. And that small machine, that the moment they say you are a Cameroonian, say you are a Cameroonian, because that's the interest of identification. You simply need to put your finger. If you have been identified before, your image comes and your village, everything is there. I put my finger every time I get to class. I have my image, I have my data, the class you are teaching, your name are from year to year. It's not more than the government. If private individual can engage in such a project, and I said even internally, there are Cameroonians that can assist this nation.
Propose it to the government.
I said they are there. They are there. We need a will first to move forward, because when we digitalize the economy, you know the consequences. That some of those maneuvers we do with registers of election, we might not succeed again. And so digitalizing thing, like even money transfer, when we get digital, some transfers and cash may not be found with some people, because in the United States there's a limit of what you can hold as cash, and we will not support such a system here. We have people with a whole bank in their houses. And how do you want us to digitalize the economy in ID card? It means even their money, the codes
right?
will be known. That is what I'm saying.
They are Cameroonians.
Yeah, that is what I'm saying. So somewhere, at times, the will is that if we go smart like other countries, a lot of crimes will be exposed. Even the camera system, the surveillance in the city, you know very well that it has not gotten to the maximum first in the 2 major cities of Douala and Yaoundé, where Cameroonians would have thought of. Because in China and other countries now, even if you do something here where we are, they will pick you out, because the digitalization is complete. You lost or abandoned your phone, or your purse fell off. If you pick it, just satellite and cameras in that area will get you and you bring it back. So why can't we go to this extent? People are aware of their crimes and the exposure that it might bring.
You
And
refuse civil service.
yes, so that is what we're saying.
Policy.
No, that is what I'm saying. We are saying that
You see,
somewhere,
we
Cameroonians
say we Cameroonians.
don't want things to proceed because of the impact it might create. And I'm telling you, we don't even need to move with ID cards today. If the issue is identification, we run to, there are smart identification, even like you use your phone, that you can't even, just your face, your phone comes on, because that is digitalization. Once you have been identified in a government post or a police post, you move as a Cameroonian, because the intention is to identify those that have not been identified. And so if you put your finger in that particular machine and no data of yours, the next thing is that they send you to the identification center immediately. If you have your 5,000, so you identify there and you go. But the interest, where is the interest? The interest will be that you have to negotiate there. You pay your 1,000, you go to Yaoundé. And when you are coming back, you have to use another 1,000 again. Just imagine that. So these are some of the political blocks and bureaucracies that come around with bringing technology. Cameroon said it's a gradual process. The head of state, yes,
Okay.
I don't know, somewhere. So this is what we are saying, Mr. Leonard. Within, I'm saying a lot of things is going on in places like Kigali, because in Kigali it will be difficult for you to kill somebody and go scot-free, except you have to dive into water and disappear.
Except Kagame.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That except okay. So somewhere, the moment you digitalize a lot of things, a lot of security will be controlled. Just imagine this woman killed along Yaoundé, Simalen, and we are now looking for people. quietly CCTV would have taken the images and tell you that these are the people as they left here, this is where they are now. Before you even get to the north, they have called you that the car they use, this is where it is. That's what they do.
Please, let's stop asking for questions. We know the answers. Some commissioners in Cameroon reserve original ID cards. They have agents who go online advertising how to get ID cards within 24 hours. If you have 60,000 francs CFA, and if you provide the money, you get the ID card. The ID cards are available, but unscrupulous police commissioners conceal and sell to Cameroonians for 60,000 francs. If you don't have money in Cameroon, forget about original ID card. There are many Cameroonians in prison because of lack of ID cards, while some crooks are feeding fat from them. Good evening, Mr. Liu. What some of your panelists are saying are not true. In Yaoundé, you do not come to Yaoundé with 50,000 francs. You will have it. Mr. Eric is writing from Limbe. And if you want your ID card to come out, you go to Idea and give the commissioner 25,000 francs. You will have it. Okay. I'm sure they're talking from experience here. There are things that they have done.
In Idea.
Yes. Wow. This one says, good evening, sir. I have a problem with my ID card. They said I have 2 dates of birth, and I live in Belgium. Coming for eating Xmas with my family now. I can go back of my passport is expired. I cannot renew it. I don't know how to do that. Okay. Good evening, Mr. Liu. Concerning what? Okay. Concerning what the barrister is saying, how can we buy latest cars from Europe and not buy their latest technology if we have the money? Good evening to the entire studio crew. The issue of national ID card in Cameroon is a mafia, which the government must intervene to save the citizens. There are some or a group of persons who have held the printing and distribution of national ID card in order to make money or business with it. Some numbers are now published at the various police posts for consultation, and some are using that means to tell lies and make money, asking 50,000 francs to 150,000 francs to do an express print. The government has succeeded to do what with international passports, so she can do it for national ID cards. Good evening, Mr. Liu and all the panelists. My husband did his ID card 2019. Every he goes to collect, they say it's not available. He keeps going to check. In 2022, when he sat in a bar discussing about ID card, one policeman just said, "Give me 20K tomorrow, I will search and give you." He asked just his order of names. Behold, the next day the man brought the ID card, collected 20K. Some of these people are just being wicked. This is a situation. You see, so many persons are saying the same thing. It's become a business.
It's a business, Mr. Liu. It's a business to some individuals, not like it's a general solution. There are individuals who practically will take these ID cards and keep in their offices. And if you come, they will not give it to you unless you drop something. But that is the mafia that some persons said here about the issue. I think it is very important for Cameroonians to get to know that establishing an ID card is supposed to be easy, where you go with your 3,000, I think 2,800 now because of the increase of 500 on the this thing, it should be 3,000 something. Your ID card will be established. You receive that receipt, which is supposed to be 3 months. If you have a problem, there is a number that you should write on WhatsApp. That number directly tells you whether your information has been accepted, is correct or not. If it is not correct, they will inform you. At that moment, you already know you have a problem that needs to be rectified. So you go now to find out what is the problem. But the funny thing is that most of us, we do not have all this information, and so we do not go searching. We remain behind and complain. But people have the right to complain because of the scrupulous mafia guys that are existing within the system that are feeding fat on the ignorance of Cameroonians. And that is where it is not like these ID cards are not coming out. I remember the last time the delegate general actually announced that ID cards are out. Cameroonians went to the stations. There were no ID cards. Where have they gone to? Some individuals are keeping this ID card, and that is why an individual will tell you, okay, give me 20,000, let me go and search. They know where it is. So the problem at times, in this case, we might want to say, okay, the government delegate is the one to be blamed on this. Every time there is a society, or might be an organization or a country is having a failure, we trace it to leadership. That's why the leadership will be blamed. But most at times, even when they are blamed, it is because of who they put in place or who is working with them that causes the problems. And those are the situations that every system faces. But what will make the difference is the information we have. If we have information and we are ready to stand as Cameroonians, then we can make a difference. You see, I wanted to say something that as a Cameroonian, if you go to you go there for your ID card to be renewed and they ask you for money, refuse, but impose it. There's a situation that happened, I think, in Bafusam, where an individual went into and asked for his ID card, and he ended up being imprisoned because he insisted. He said it's his document. They cannot be tormenting him every time like this. He needs a document. They took him. They said he was harassing a policeman and he was locked up. And that is the intimidation that we face in Cameroon. So the problem might not necessarily be the production of the ID cards, but the system that some individuals have created, which is actually blocking progress. And these individuals are found within the police department, and that is where there is a problem. You see, I saw something on Facebook today. Was the face of a policeman? I think it's a commissaire. An inspector. This inspector, it was written and mentioned that he is one of those that the delegation of national security has identified as an individual who takes 50,000 francs to give out ID cards. And I said, wow. So if the delegation of national security can actually get to identify such individuals, then it will be good.
Okay.
Not only one should be identified, there are many of them in different places.
Good evening to all in the house. So the problem with ID and passport can only be solved if the police of Cameroon decides to change. Police register 1,000 people and send only 400 documents are sent to the head office. How can a passport be out in 3 days? And I'm reading what it is. 3 days and ID. Papu Ngole writing from Tombe. Okay. Good evening. My proposal is that we should stop this issue of ID expiration. ID should be like a certificate that does not expire. Once gotten is gotten forever. Jam Jaffet writing from Bamenda. Good evening, Mr. Liu and everybody in the studio. I am Mr. Tata from Limbe. I'm very happy with the topic. If truly decentralized is real, then why should ID cards not be printed by regions themselves printing their own identification documents under a national identification system? I want to ask, who is a Cameroonian? Because I believe as a citizen of any nation you are, identification documents are not supposed to expire, because if they expire, then you are not a citizen of that country. So you're supposed to be repatriated to your own country of origin. So who is a Cameroonian? Good evening, Mr. Liu. You're wonderful panelist. I renewed my ID card since 2018 December with the same information until today. The original has not been produced, and when I verified with the Yaoundé, it shows I need to declare further information for it to be printed. I have tried all to no avail. Rectify the problem. Lack of this original ID card is very limiting. Thanks. Obi is writing from Boya. Mr. Leo, good evening, and your crew. What Dr. Ako is saying is true. Your ID card number doesn't need to change. Only expiring a date. This is in United Arab Emirates. Eno is writing, good evening to you, Grace. Happy watching us from Yaoundé. You say I should greet all the panelists they've gotten. Yes, how do we fix this issue, Barrister?
I think first and foremost we should have an alternative method of identification. And though in those days or in some areas, your driver's license is being used as an identification as well as your passport. The major issue that I think we're having with this ID card is the birth certificate. The government has created a civil status organization, I think, which is run by Governor Fayengo, and I think that structure is attempting to centralize the system of the issuance of birth certificate, so that you can go there and you want a birth certificate, you can even have a copy from a machine. But all those things, as I say, usually goes with technology that we need to have to succeed. I can advise people to say, look, the first thing you should do if you have a problem with ID card is check on your birth certificate. There should be something there which is not right. And once it's not right, you have to take that same document, go back first to court. Don't use it. Let the court consider it cancelled. And at the same time, the same court will authorize you to go to the council to be issued a new birth certificate. By so doing, you're going to have a judgment that cancels the last birth certificate and that authorizes you to get a new birth certificate. So you're going to attach that judgment now with your birth certificate. And when you're deposited to the police, it's going to accompany your file. And by so doing, you'll never have a problem again. If you don't have a judgment, that cancels the wrong birth certificate, and that authorizes for you want to be issued, you're going to have a problem. So that's the basis of the problem that we have. So if we can do that, I'm sure we'll have less of the issues of when it comes to ID cards. Alternative identification, and we make sure that you have a judgment to regularize your birth certificate status. I think, to me, those are the only two ways we can sort this thing out.
Yes, Dr. Ako, how should the government or the police itself, what should they do to fix this issue?
It was going to be difficult, but I want us to accept digitalization as a means.
Okay.
The entire economy of Cameroon should go digital. The head of state has promised us on new technologies, and they're already doing that. The banking sector is moving well. We equally, the medium-sized technology at the LECAM should be improved upon. If we digitalize everything, it's going to help Cameroonians to be identified everywhere. We need not even move with the ID card, meaning since there is everybody fingerprint in the national system, even elections, the LECAM material need to increase, meaning you simply vote by your finger, and that will permit us to get results by evening, which means that those who voted in Yagwa use the same system like those who are in Ngolomeduka or somebody in Kifejum in Oku. I can vote on the same day, and the results will get back to the National Archive Center for elections the same day. While we declare partial elections, the next day we'll be waiting now the Constitutional Council to affirm that after elections, the percentage provided by ELECAM is what it is. But you realize that if we have to do that, we'll solve a lot of problems. The issue of ID card, job by fingerprint, meaning if you go for a passport, since you have been identified already, your information is already at the police station. And that same fingerprint will give us the data, and your passport will be printed. Since it's a document, you need to go out of the country. We know it's going to cost us a lot, but Cameroonians have been supporting. We supported the war against Boko Haram. We equally supported the war in the northwest and the southwest. We can support the digitalization of the economy if the government has good faith. Cameroonians personally, like I have known, a lot of people contribute a lot of money to better some things, some certain things in this country. We can do it as a will to stop even the poor masses who don't have access to this particular card. People cannot move from one place to another, and the situation is worse until the campaign carried out in the northwest and the southwest. Some people were using it now as a ground of just arresting people and then asking for bail or exorbitant amount to take them out, and it becomes disturbing. Once this is digitalized, I'm very sure that a lot of Cameroonians will be happy about it, rather than renewing papers. Secondly, we need to get into the Directorate of National Security to equally answer to Cameroonians what has happened that ID card made 3 years, 2 years ago are not out? And if at all, why not open a center to receive complaints for those who have maybe gone for the establishment of ID cards and they have not been capable of getting them? Opening a center will help us, because when you say, okay, not everybody has an access to a digital, a computerized telephone. So others have their few phones. When you send those numbers to call and access, do they even read? Where are the messages? So we need a commission in charge of receiving complaints at the level of the national security, so that those who have complaints can go there or maybe drop their complaints at the level of the...
This is somebody who is... the
2,800 francs. Doctor.
Yes. How do we understand then how do we think with this system that has been put in place by some persons who are making so much money, they would want